by the late Kate Smith, the Flyers' former good luck charm. Would it pay off? Well, for Mark Messier and the Edmonton Oilers, they didn't want to hear anything about good luck charms in Philadelphia. With the Flyers on a first-period power play, Craig McTavish sends the speedy and talented Messier in all alone on Flyer goaltender Ron Hextall. And even against Hextall, this was a mismatch. Messier scored to give the Edmonton Oilers a badly needed early game advantage. When Glenn Anderson also scored late in the first period, Edmonton looked to be on their way. And it looked like Flyer head coach Mike Keenan had his back squarely up against the wall. But the Flyers came back, and with the score 3-2, Scott Mellenby beat Grant Fuhr between the legs to tie the game up at 3 in the third period of play. And just 17 seconds after that goal by the former Badger from Wisconsin, Brad McCrimmon sent the Spectrum into a frenzy.
Here is Sutter. It's the Mellenby to McCrimmon. He scores!
You could hear the cheering all over the Delaware Valley, and the 17,000 plus will be on hand at the Spectrum tonight as they hope to boost their Flyers into a 2-2 tie in the Stanley Cup Final. It's Game 4 next on ESPN. ESPN, the network of the National Hockey League, presents the Stanley Cup Final. Tonight, Game 4, live from the Spectrum in Philadelphia between the Edmonton Oilers and the Philadelphia Flyers. And welcome live to the corner of Broad Street and Patterson Avenue in South Philadelphia, the Spectrum. Site of Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Finals, and another sellout crowd is on hand. Good evening, everyone. I'm Tom Mees, your studio host tonight for the pivotal fourth game of this series. These two teams, Edmonton and Philadelphia, are ready. What do I mean when I say the word ready? Well, at the end of the pregame warm-ups, no punches thrown, but a few words of welcome were exchanged. How do you do? Welcome to Philadelphia. We're so glad to see you on our home ice tonight, said the Flyers to the Edmonton Oilers, and the Oilers had a few answers, I'm sure. This should be a crackling game tonight, a big game, no matter which way you look at the series. Let's go up for a preview to Mike Emmerich and Bill Clement.
Tom, we're looking forward to it, too. Philadelphia won Game 3 and seemed to have more confidence, Bill.
I think they gained a lot of confidence, and I think they got rid of a mental block concerning Grant Fuhr, Mike. You know, they had trouble scoring on him. He was like an impenetrable brick wall. Well, they got 4 by him in Game 3, and I think that augurs well for the Flyers.
Try nailing Jell-O to a tree. That's about what it's like to try to stop Wayne Gretzky. Have they done it well?
In Game 3, they did it exceptionally well. Anytime you can hold the greatest player in the history of the world to 1 shot on goal and 1 assist, you've done a great job. I seriously think that Gretzky's going to have to get at least 2 points tonight for the Oilers to win.
2 points, and Ron Sutter's been able to keep him off that board. He's done a splendid job. Is that a one-man task?
It's a team task, but they're letting Ron Sutter lead the way. And as you mentioned, he did a great job, but the thing that was such a bonus is he got 3 assists as well. Anytime you can triple the score on Gretzky, 3 assists to 1, you've done more than they have asked you.
Before, we were just taking our count a little while ago. He was in the midst of a sentence. Okay, Bill, tell them what you were about to tell me.
Well, I was going to mention how strongly I felt about the game tonight, Mike, and I was going to say that I think the team that wins this hockey game tonight is going to win the Stanley Cup. If Edmonton wins, they're up 3-1. They look great. If the Flyers win, I really think they will have enough momentum to take this series. So the way I look at it, the team that wins it all.
As usual, clear-eyed, no flinch, right between the eyes. There you have it. It will be the winner of this one tonight going on to the Stanley Cup. That's the Clementian prediction as we go back to Tom Mees.
All right, Mike and Bill, Jimmy the Greek and Paul McGuire, look out. Bill Clement has arrived as the great predictor of the Stanley Cup Finals. We'll see eventually if his prediction will come true or not. One thing I know, this is going to be a heck of a game tonight. Don't miss it. The Stanley Cup Finals next on ESPN.
Listen up. A lot of burger places have been telling you.
The Stanley Cup Finals straight ahead on ESPN, but we are aware that earlier this afternoon, auto racing history was made at the Brickyard in Indianapolis. Our Alan Mastingale is standing by now with the winner of the 1987 Indianapolis 500. 2-1, but all the talk the past 48 hours in Philadelphia has been about the miraculous comeback of the Philadelphia Flyers, scoring 5 unanswered goals after trailing 3-0. two ways to look at this. Personally, I feel the Flyers are going to come out with all guns blazing and try and get the first goal and get an early advantage and get the crowd behind them. But you know, the Edmonton Oilers are going to come out with their guns blazing at the start as well, because if they go home with a 3-1 lead, again, you won't find too many people who give this series a chance to go to Game 6. But the way things have gone in the playoffs, with lack of home ice advantage and everything else, you can flip a coin. I mean, it's just exciting stuff every night. The Flyer crowd is on their feet as they just heard another rendition of God Bless America. They're ready. Wayne Gretzky, the Edmonton Oilers, you can be sure they're ready. Mike and Bill are ready, too. Let's go upstairs for Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final.
In the last 48 hours, they haven't lost any decibels. They've gained them. 17,222. And what a lustrous pass. The referee for tonight's game is Andy Van Hellemond. The linesmen are Bob Hodges and John D'Amico. Alternate Dave Newell, and the off-ice officials are from Detroit.
Grant Fuhr starting again for the Edmonton Oilers. We'll see if the Flyers are less reluctant to shoot from far out. Maybe they think they can hit that 5-hole between his legs again tonight the way Scott Mellanby did for such a big goal here on Friday night. But they'll have their problems with him. He is on top of his game, as is Ron Hextall at the other end. Think Hextall's ready? He was the man that was originally in the middle of the big altercation in the pregame warm-up.
Lowe and Muni, the defense. Anderson, Messier, and Nielsen up front. Marsh and Samuelson, the defense for Philadelphia, from Zezel and Pocket. Marsh glove, so does Nielsen. Puck followed up by Anderson, and he sends it wide. Lowe pinches Pocket's shot. And it's Craig Muni to play. Muni connects with Messier. Looks ahead for Nielsen. Had to hurry it because Brad Marsh was nearby. Pocket takes a bump from Anderson after he clears deep. Muni waiting behind. The last 35 seconds of Game 3 saw some shaking up of the line just to leave messages. First, the Oilers sent out some tough guys, and then Philadelphia did as well. Be interesting to see if any of that might come about. But here is Brad Marsh, banking it along for profit, kicks to center ice, and on with it is Rick Pocket. Pocket's got a gun and fires it wide. Taking it is Jari Kurri. Shift change on for the Oilers. He misses for Messier. Gretzky and Tikkanen have come out to join him. Nice poke check handled there by the defense of Charlie Huddy, and the puck moves on to Jari Kurri. Kurri with a shot that shanked off Howe. Howe and Kurri test once more. And it is Scott Mellanby nearby. Down to the ice goes Gretzky, and the fans applaud that. A pile-up, and the puck underneath. Andy Van Hellemond now blows the whistle. 1:16 gone in this scoreless first period.
Well, we knew the Flyers were going to come out hitting. And Wayne Gretzky really was the recipient of the first big hit by Scott Mellanby. And, you know, in Game 1, having talked to Mike Keenan after the game and again this morning, we brought up the point to him that we felt the Flyers had run around hitting people so much in their first game back into the Spectrum that they might have really lost sight of what the whole deal is, and that is to score goals. And he agreed that there was a lot of extra adrenaline that was gotten rid of in that early going. Zezel once again draws the assignment of Mark Messier. The threat. I wonder how far the threat will go against Mark Messier.
Tikkanen and Smith both get roughing minors at 1:16. You know, there have not been many stick fouls in this series, only 7 of the 37 penalties called. Remember last series, the one with Montreal, over half of them were stick penalties. Glenn Sather sure rose through the ranks from player to captain to coach to general manager, president.
Senior coach in the NHL.
What's left? Owner, I guess.
That's next on the list. Finishing the point about the Flyers' physical play, Mike. We still expect them to play physically, but Mike Keenan told us this morning it should be with far more direction, a little more selective in when they hit, when they take the body, not just aimlessly every time they get near anybody.
It's Pozar who sent that one wide, and then Huddy able to keep. Puck handled by Brad McCrimmon of Philadelphia. Pass broken up and carried back in by Gretzky. Gretzky, a rising shot off the glass. Mellanby there. Cross-bodied by Pozar, the puck ahead to Sutter. Nice check from behind by Jari Kurri. And then Sutter follows up and persists, but his centering pass taken off by Kurri and just laid back out to McCrimmon. Shift change on. Craven's unit now in full force for Philadelphia. Carson bumped Murray Craven to take it. Craven yanks it along for Lindsey Carson. Checked from behind by Charlie Huddy and goes down. Huddy without a stick. He was stripped of that by Carson, but the puck moved ahead to Paul Coffey. Coffey with a forehander that clamps off the leg of Brad Marsh. With it is Murray Craven. Starts back up and has Poulin moving up the left wing, but Craven will carry in and shovel one into Pure. 2:17 gone. First period. Another discussion. No score.
Today, you need an insurance company that looks out for you year after year. A company with experience, measured in centuries instead of years.
Well, we talked about Gretzky before the game. One thing we didn't mention was how motivated the great ones get. And Gretzky is the greatest athlete in the history of pro sports. Here he comes in and moves around Mark Howe. He will take a look, just enough look to eventually try and go high to the short side on Ron Hextall. But there's little question in my mind, Mike, and I think you'll agree, Wayne Gretzky will be a very motivated athlete tonight.
Ruotsalainen cranks one off the glass. No doubt about that. We have seen supreme motivation for so many individuals. Poulin a shot, and that's snared by Pure.
That's 3 shots now from out pretty far. Murray Craven took a wrist shot from the other side. Rick Tocchet shot from outside the blue line. And here is Eklund dishing off to Dave Poulin, who gets pretty good wood on a good wrist shot that Grant Fuhr is able to snag with his glove. That looks as if it's labeled for the short side high. But to me, that's an indication already that the Flyers have gotten rid of that mental block and are saying, we can score on this man. Grant Fuhr is not the brick wall that he once was. He got 4 on him last game. We can hit that spot between his pads just by shooting a lot.
5 weeks ago tonight, you were saying something similar. Technically, I guess it would have been last night, about a goalie for the Islanders in the 7th game against Washington. Here's a 2-on-1. On comes Messier. Messier has McSorley. Gives over to Ruotsalainen, and his shot knocked down. Fed by Ruotsalainen, but cut off by Poulin, and then he's knocked down by Krushelnyski. Poulin able to get up and play. Too far for Howe. Threaded back by Messier, then swung along by Hextall. Messier continues, and it's off McSorley and centered and trapped by Hextall, and then McSorley goes barreling in.
You know, we usually expect the Flyers to drive for the rebounds, but you know when McSorley's line is out there, or when he's out there with Messier, he will. Look at Hextall. Look at his stick. Can you see what's left of the stick? That's what he had left. That puck came out from beside the net, and it really couldn't have come out at a better place for Ron Hextall to get it. He actually trapped it up with that little bit of a stick that he had left. Murray Craven's going to grab him a new one. Dave Poulin had come a long way to back check on Marty McSorley. Then he left him, went to Krushelnyski, tried to pin him against the boards, but by this time you can see Poulin delays in coming off because he can see Hextall grabbing it. McCrimmon roughs up McSorley, and there you get a look at Hextall's stick, just a little bit left.
The pit is no place for the faint of heart. A man can make a good living there, especially standing there on the power play, but not many want to do it. McTavish on the face-off with Sutter. The puck came back, and it's Muni. Wrapping it, and moving for it is Craven. Pinching and checking is low, but the Flyers clear. Craig Muni tosses over to Dave Hunter, and Hunter just drops it back. McCrimmon with a backhand grab, and then turns it over to McTavish. McTavish just tied up by McCrimmon and along McClellan, but it's jammed back out by Craven. There'll be a penalty coming up to Kevin Lowe as he takes Sutter down. The first power play of the night, Philadelphia. There's no score.
Plymouth.
From Rochester, New York, home of the AHL Calder Cup Camp Americans, to Indianapolis, where Al Unser Sr. won the 500. For all you do, this but's for you. And a break up here. Hunter moving in, but it is Howe wedging it away, and then he's punished to the boards and glass. Play made out to Peter Zezel. Zezel couldn't get by Craig Muni, and it's Howe wanting to toss in, but it's taken by Hunter. Wedged off by Craven. Howe's pass is tipped, but controlled by Zezel. Then to Prop. Rolls, hoping for Tocchet. He checks the man. But it is Hunter. And Hunter pressed further by Eklund. Zezel there to help out. He's given a shove from behind. Still they work. And a stoppage of play with 1:02 to go on the power play and 15.5 remaining in a scoreless first period.
You know, that's one of the other things that the Flyers established in Game 3 here. Besides getting rid of that mental block about Fuhr, the power play. They actually notched a couple of power play goals, which is something they hadn't done in the first 2 games up in Edmonton. And all year long, we talk about goaltending. Well, we've seen what the goaltending has been like in this series, but we also talk about special teams. And if the Flyers can continue to score goals on the power play, they'll have a big step towards getting back into the series and going all the way.
A lot of NHL records have been altered this year, and you've just seen that as a shot by Propp glanced off Coffey. Zezel to Tocchet. Behind is Eklund. No one right now in front. Whirling is Eklund to Tocchet. Curry's one. He wanted Zezel, but it was cleared by the Edmonton defense. And there'll be a change in those ranks now as a jolt given to Nielsen by Zezel.
You know why, Mike, the power play in the playoffs, I think, is even more important than regular season because there are fewer of them. We've seen fewer teams shorthanded in the playoffs than we do during the regular season. The officials really don't want to have an effect on the outcome of the game. They call it, let a little more go. They understand there's a lot of adrenaline. And for that reason, it's even more important to make them count. You don't get as many of them.
Offside is the call here with 14:52 remaining. You saw first Captain Dave Poulin and then alternate for the Oilers, Mark Messier. So you got rung in his store out in Edmonton, huh?
Well,
Pretty good.
I wanted to buy something anyway. I don't think I wanted to buy quite as much as the sales girl told me. He carries nice clothes. I had heard at one point that Mark Messier's chain of number 11 stores in Edmonton, somebody characterized the stores, the clothes, as being Miami Vice out of control. And I thought, well, I'm not sure whether the glitter is that suitable, especially for our on-camera stuff. But no, nice pair of jeans, nice shirt. He has nice clothes.
Messier clears. Crossman there. And for the drive-in by Propp. 15 seconds left, power play Philadelphia, and the Oilers clear once more. Hextall out, just to shunt it along to Propp. Crossman is there for Philadelphia, but a nice spinorama move by Propp, and the drop to Tocchet for the drive save. Rebound, and Fuhr has it. So it's not only the Oilers who can do a little fancy band now and then.
And you know when the Flyers get ready to shoot that the guys that aren't shooting will put their heads down and go for the rebound. Here's a reverse angle look at Propp's move. Boy, I got to tell you, though, Kent Nilsson was going for the pass all the way. Kent Nilsson's objective there was not so much stopping Brian Propp as snaring that cross-ice pass and going for the breakaway. Look at Propp. Look at Poulin on the left, cross-check his way into the net, and subsequently get the rebound. Fuhr had to pick it up coming out of the White Sox. Davey Poulin was able to chop it right to Grant Fuhr. And although they will try and shoot from out a little further, Mike, we've seen that already because they know they can beat Fuhr now. I still think most of their chances are going to come from situations just like that. The shot, and then putting the head down and jamming towards the net.
How did he get all those points, you might have asked? Noting that last graphic, well, he was matched up with Lloyd Boston and a guy named Ray Allison. Gretzky a shot, and that one went off Hextall. Puck chopped at by Derek Smith. Working further, but it is Curry to keep it in. Gets a pass to Gretzky to Curry. Score! Jari Kurri. And again, in this game, as the previous three, the Oilers have the first goal.
It's just not coming easy for the Flyers. They dig themselves a hole on a classic give and go. Curry made the pass and then took off. You can see a couple of Flyers got to him far too late, but Jari Kurri passed it into Gretzky and then broke. Tikkanen was the man that just went out of your screen on the lower left. He took Mark Howe with him. There's Howe and Tikkanen. But that left Jari Kurri all alone. Classic give and go. And the key to it, I think, Mike, was that Kurri came all the way from the blue line on the go. Once he gave it, he actually covered a lot of ice. The close give and goes are easy to defend against. But once Gretzky gets it, look out.
He had it there, but it was denied by Samuelson, and back on come the Flyers. Carson has it through to Sutter, backhander, and it's saved by Fuhr. And then Mellenby hooks up after the whistle with Tikkanen. 13:52 to go in the first period. On the goal by Curry, it's 1-0 Edmonton.
Only you. Just because you've washed your car doesn't mean you're finished. After each wash, you need some Armor All on the dash, the bumper, and especially the tires. Armor All. It's the finishing touch every time you wash your car.
You're my dream.
And now, introducing Clean Start, the new cleaner which safely removes tough dirt. Clean Start, only from Armor All products.
What a great chance the Flyers had to tie it back up, and Lindsey Carson really paid the price with his legs and his knees. Look who's chasing who here. Sutter chased by Gretzky. Sutter got a pretty decent backhander away, but some fine defensive work by Wayne Gretzky. One of the things I know that will motivate Gretzky tonight is he does not want Ron Sutter to end up with more points than him. That shouldn't happen if you're Wayne Gretzky.
It is Eklund throwing one in front, and then Howe, and his shot was wide. Curry lined up by Dave Brown, who chops it away, but Messier is there to angle to Reijo Ruotsalainen. Ruotsalainen to Nielsen, and then to Krushelnyski, who's spun by Eklund and top guides it back in. Only one lineup change in the two teams tonight. Buchberger is out for Edmonton, and Kozar is in. Flyers with the same unit they had in Game 3. 13:10 to go. First period of play. Curry, his 13th from Gretzky at 5:33. That's our only scoring. There have been 3 penalties, 2 to Edmonton, and only 1 power play. That came up empty for Philadelphia. Zezel flipped, and Samuelson cupped one that ricocheted off Charlie Huddy. Back out the Oilers as Gretzky with a little deflection. He almost had his man, but it didn't pan out. He was hoping for Anderson. It is Marsh swinging one off, hit a jagged piece of the boards, and then Pocket had to recover further. Sometimes the boards and sometimes the glass just don't fit snugly, and the roll isn't true. Curry just missed for Gretzky. And no icing here as the puck flung away from Samuelson by Gretzky, but to Derek Smith. Back on to Zezel. Has Marsh moving along with him. Plays it across for Pocket. Marsh there to retrieve. Zezel at the front. Marsh a shot. Hit Zezel. Tried a finesse backhander, and that one went off pure. Anderson, and it's a 2-on-1. Curry and Gretzky with Samuelson back. Offside! It even happens to the best of them. Play stopped on the offside with 12:12 left in the opening period.
Here's Brad Marsh, who's turned into an offensive defenseman in the playoffs, and we praised him for his defensive work. He just seems to get better the greater the pressure. There's something strange about him that reacts so well to the pressure. He came all the way around, and our reverse angle shows that, well, Zezel was right up trying to deflect it. Pure, just standing his ground. Marsh came very close to getting that rebound, too.
Looks like Zezel got that right around the hosel with a stick. Didn't it to you?
Exactly.
That's a new term, by the way, for you hockey aficionados. You may have followed this game for 35 years and not heard that one.
I just slipped. It was a slight golf term. A sport which people like Glenn Sather don't want to talk about or mention, even though his goalie, Grant Fuhrs, it gets in the odd 36 holes between games. He won't be able to now. They'll all be travel days. But management, coaches, general managers, they just don't want to hear about golf. They really feel that concentration is a key, and they think that a lot of players' concentration will be broken, although I must say that most managements have expanded their horizons to the point where they understand that certain players need the distractions this time of year. They're not nearly as rigid as they used to be.
Here's McClellan stepping out. Moving on Daigneault, and the pass, because of Poulin's shoulder into Dave Hunter, goes nowhere for Edmonton. 11:33 left in the first period. The Oilers leading in this Game 4. Best of 7 Stanley Cup Finals. Edmonton ahead in the series, 2-1. And that was Poulin on McTavish with the check. Ryan Prop swings it. Ruotsalainen can't keep it. And again, the Oilers must go back. Randy Gregg takes a look at Ruotsalainen, but misses him. And Hunter can't take it because it would have been a 2-line pass. As it is, it'll be icing in the face-off to come back near Fuhr. From the Spectrum in Philadelphia, Edmonton 1, Philadelphia nothing.
Plymouth Voyager gives America a powerful new reason why the pride is back. Front-wheel drive V6 power, fuel-injected power, power to climb, to pass, to carry, to move you. And quality backed by a new 7-year or 70,000-mile protection plan. Plymouth Voyager V6.
The pride is back, born in America again.
There you see the captain of the Philadelphia Flyers, Dave Poulin, who is playing with ribs that have just recently recovered from a couple of cracks that he received in Game 6 of the Rangers series, where they knocked out the New York Rangers. Come back pretty well, I think, too. There's a look at the flak jacket that he's wearing. I think his head goes through that little hole on the right. It's actually like the one Joe Montana wears. It's a couple of inches shorter, but it sure provides him with great protection. And I talked to him about it a number of times. He said, you know, I'm never going to take it off. My flexibility is still just as good, and mobility with it. Why take the chance of more broken ribs?
Is McSorley clearing down deep, and Hextall turning it along. McCrimmon allows it to go to Dave Brown. Brown just chips one, and it is McSorley to take it. Oilers with 2 shots, Philadelphia with 6. Edmonton leading 1-0 as Brown tossed to the net is flagged down, and on with it now comes Krushelnyski. Crossing on the wing with Pozar, Krushelnyski, and the number was done by McCrimmon. But he looks in the direction, does Andy Van Hellemond, of Dave Brown. A flyer will come off. Second power play of the night. First for the Oilers, they lead 1-0.
As long as summers have been hot, Budweiser's been keeping you cool.
Hey, Dottie, this Bud's for you.
Pick a pair.
Cool. Geez, Spuds, I really like this Bud Light.
Pick a pair of 6-packs, 12-packs, cases of Budweiser and Bud Light. Look for this display and get a great offer on a 2-man wrap. Pick a pair now and in the future.
As we look at Brad McCrimmon, who's off for hooking, we'll take a look at how he dragged down Mike Krushelnyski. Krushelnyski gave him the same right-left move that Anderson pulled on Doug Crossman. That great goal back up in Edmonton. But McCrimmon has to sit. And once again, the Flyers are doing things right, except losing on the scoreboard there. The Oilers are out-hitting the Flyers right now, though, and that's something that we didn't expect. We still expected the Flyers to be out-hitting them, especially because they had 32 hits in the first period. And now the Oilers are out-hitting the Flyers 12-9.
They're out-hitting?
Out-hitting the Flyers 12-9. But part of the reason, you know, you can make the statistics say what you want. I honestly believe that. However, the Flyers have been on the attack. They're out-shooting the Oilers 5-2. So a lot of times when they're attacking, you get hit when you're attacking. So look at slow-mo of the face-off. And you know what is so key in a face-off that a lot of people don't realize is where the official drops the puck. You know, when you're watching the game on television, you don't understand that if you get a linesman that makes a bad drop, it's either going to not land flat, which it is supposed to, or he's going to throw it right out of the circle. I'm not even sure that those guys touch the puck. Sometimes the linesman will be so anxious to pull away because guys try and block each other, and the linesmen get their hands jammed between their sticks, that the linesman will actually throw it down onto the face-off dot, and it will carry right out of the circle, and you'll never really get a good poke at it.
That's interesting. Watch for that as some of the other face-offs develop here tonight. Because it really was a misspent face-off all the way around. Here's Coffey angling. Hextall got a piece of that, but here is Curry. That off Crossman, chopped by Marsh. Charlie Huddy is there waiting. Huddy off the turning stick of Tikkanen, then back to Huddy once more. Misses Tikkanen, gets Gretzky. Then Tikkanen through the legs to Gretzky. Gretzky spinning. Turning away from Murray Craven. Still watching with a minute to go power play. Gretzky gets it back again. Gives to the back to Huddy. Then on the other side to Paul Coffey. Then to Huddy. Over for Gretzky. Turns. Finesses back to Coffey. Shot. Oh, they tried peeking into the side of the net. And he couldn't direct it on. Flyers clear. Just James on. Samuelson and Howe the defense. Kropp and Poulin up front. Same set of Oilers are out, except a change back at the point. They brought on Ruotsalainen. Messier now giving over, and Coffey hurries across to Curry. Curry looks for Gretzky, gives to Coffey, trigger shot. It's loose in front off someone and scooped out by Samuelson. Hextall was looking, but it had hit a body in front. 15 seconds left on the man advantage. Brian Kropp turns, looks for some help, guides it off. It struck the linesman, but Poulin gives over to Mark Howe. And Howe, with 5 seconds left on the power play, rolls it back down. They've killed it off. Big ovation. Breaks up by Crockett. Rick Crockett crosses. Shot wide. Poulin is there, but it kicks to Derek Smith. Banks it along for Crockett. He's checked by Messier. Gregg tosses it loose. Derek Smith is there, but the Oilers able to control. Gregg's pass is through Poulin, followed up by McClellan and dropped in. Oilers can make a change. Hextall can make a pass. It's Crockett again with a drive. And Fuhr has that one. Bill Clement pointed out the Flyers are going with the long ones, and you've seen a lot this period. On now, it is Hunter trying to roll it through, and Brad Marsh won't let it happen. McTavish gives it to the back. Muni is shot. Save. Loose puck. Popped and flexed away as Hextall got a piece of it. They work it back to Lowe. Lowe with the drive. Off McTavish. 3-on-2 developing. Derek Smith on for Zessel. Sidesteps Muni. Zezel sweeps in, feeds one in front, blocked by Lowe. Zezel tries a stuffer, that's blocked away. And then Zezel not flying, and there'll be a penalty coming up to McTavish. With 7 minutes and 18 seconds to go in the first period. It's the Oilers leading in the game, but the Flyers to get a power play.
Peter Zezel's confidence has gotten better and better since Game 2 in Edmonton, where he threw 2 big hits on Mark Messier. And he just keeps getting stronger and stronger, and they are forced to drag him down.
On Curry's 13th, it's 1-0 Oilers.
You know, the way the game is going, we almost don't have enough replay machines to keep track of everything. Here's Talkin. Look at his little move to the right over Ruotsalainen. And, you know, it looked as if Grant Fuhr got a little piece of it with his toe. And at the other end, from our reverse angle, Craig McTavish struggling to get loose to get a hold of this rebound, and you saw how quickly Hextall got back to his feet to be in the position. He had gone down to make the original save. 5 or 6 great plays at either end of the ice.
The minor to McTavish is at 12:42. You see the stats on the night. Philadelphia in the series is 2 for 11. Ron Sutter wins it back. Trop, Zezel. Trop. Shovels one. Blocked in front. Cleared by Gretzky. Dropping to his knees to make that play in front of the goal was Craig Muni. It is Trop finessing on to Sutter. Pass tipped, though, deep by Hunter. Fuhr to reach. Then to swing it along. And it is turned back out by Kent Nielsen. Nielsen and Hunter up front for the Edmonton Oilers. That's a combination I don't recall from earlier games. It is Huddy in back along with Huddy, right, with Coffey.
Nielsen usually plays with Messier, but Messier has taken all the faceoffs deep in the Oilers' zone so far, Mike, and that was the first one that he lost. He's 5-1 deep in his zone, but when he gets trapped out there and gets tired, he loses his partner, Kent Nielsen. I think that's why you saw McTavish out there, because Messier is on the ice to take all the draws.
That shot by Trop became shot number 8 in the period for Philadelphia, and the Edmonton Oilers have 4.
Not much time to pick that one up. Coming out of a crowd. Here's Ron Sutter, the man with a big assignment tonight. He'll have to play against Wayne Gretzky, but there's another guy that he's going to have his hands full with. Anytime Gretzky's on the ice with Paul Coffey, they just get into a little bit of a holding contest in the corner. Sutter's got his stick in between Coffey's legs, and Coffey will wait till the time is right and then actually make his move to get that stick out of there when Coffey wants to go. A lot of times guys will wait and delay and not bother wasting energy until it becomes a crucial time, and then what they'll do is make their best stab at pushing that stick down and jumping out of the way, and who knows, if Andy Van Hellemond is watching, Paul Coffey possibly draws a penalty.
All right, let's watch this face-off. We have John D'Amico dropping it, and the puck comes back. Faking the shot is Trop. Feeds one in front, and down on the ice was Craven, so it flopped behind, and ahead with it is Wayne Gretzky. A minute left power play, and Gretzky drew 3 Flyers to him and dished back to Huddy. Then along to Messier. Messier flips. It goes wide of Huddy and Howe. They cancel one another, so it's handled by Eklund. Kelly Eklund, Swedish-born centerman, pulls up, gives to Trop. Pass was too far for Howe and sent out of play by Paul Coffey. 45 seconds of power play time still remaining to Philadelphia. Mr. Coffey. And it had a little bit of a difficult year, but gee, when you still look at the statistics, they're fairly impressive for a guy that has a hard year.
Well, you know, his teammates really back him up, too, especially Kevin Lowe. They say he's much better defensively than he was, and he was so recognized. We just saw that graphic, 48 goals. That's an all-time high. And he was so recognized for his offensive strength that now that he's doing better things defensively, nobody's paying any attention to him. They're saying Paul Coffey isn't playing as well. A lot of the Oilers think he's contributing just as much, although it's taking a different form.
There are only 20 other teams in the NHL that are interested in him.
Isn't that the truth?
Howe takes from Hextall. Penalty clock is dropped down to 25 seconds. 5:40 left first period. In case you're just joining us, Oilers lead the Flyers 1-0 and in the series 2-1. Eklund tries to break through. Huddy and Coffey converge, and then Coffey has to contend with Peter Zezel. Clears it, but into Tocchet. Out in front, lost it off his stick, going for the stuffer. 5 seconds left, man advantage. Kent Nielsen shakes it in deep, and it's Hextall to play. setting it up for Doug Crossman. Gretzky there hoping to smoke him out, but instead it's patted over for Tocchet. Shift change on for Philadelphia, so Prop didn't see that one coming. Curry back over to Gretzky, cranks one. That hit off the board. Punched ahead, but it goes out of play. Off Curry, so a center ice face-off will result with 5:03 left in period one. 2 nights from now, Edmonton with a 4-game winning streak at home will be at home. Our telecast, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The Flyers and the Oilers in Game 5. There you see the spacious facility, which back when Mr. Clement first came here, did not have that top tier. And then the team caught on, and they needed the top tier. And today they could have used that stadium. There was so much demand for tickets. But they've been sold ever since last Friday.
It's amazing what a couple of Stanley Cups will do for the demand on the tickets.
They have even closed off one of the runways this year down to the visitors' bench. The visitors have to come out the Zamboni entrance because they could tuck in about 3 or 4 more seats down close to the ice. They've done everything possible to meet the demand. Here is Muni with under 5 minutes to play. First period, Oilers ahead 1-0. The teams are at even and full strength. Given up by Samuelson to Gretzky. Has Curry up the wing. Gretzky in front, and it's saved by Hextall. And then an Oiler goes into him and is surrounded. The 2-point men have pulled up so that they can keep that face-off. Oh, that was... You couldn't see it in the camera. I've got to explain something. Go ahead.
I'm not so sure I wouldn't rather hear what you saw.
Oh, that's all right.
Saw Tikkanen get his skate up on Samuelson. Samuelson, we thought, was going to play a lot tonight, and he probably will play a lot. We were told this morning that Doug Crossman would not be in uniform tonight. There's a great example of what Wayne Gretzky can do to you at the blue line if you are still, and he has neutral zone speed. He went around Shel Samuelson as if he was standing still, and we're talking about 747 Samuelson, the guy with the longest reach in the NHL.
Gary Curry still out with Gretzky. Curry had pulled up 1 yard inside the top of the circle, and that could have caused the face-off to go out. So someone yelled at him, and he moved exactly 1 step back as someone would not trying to cross the wrong line on the sidewalk. Just yanked it back and measured it out so carefully. All right, now is Sutter. Drops it back to Mellanby. Shot! And that one's smothered by Lowe. And the loose puck scooped back up. Lowe looked around, and we thought he might have had it, but it had gone further. Gretzky ahead with Jari Curry. Gretzky feeds for a shot by Tikkanen that's knocked down by McCrimmon. Punched ahead, and it is Carson trying to work it further but can't. Carson again into Curry, and just got it away from Gretzky. Ahead now comes Carson. Mellanby there, and Gretzky thought he might have been the trailer himself, but battled for it. The puck gotten by Samuelson. Shel Samuelson can't play. On comes Gretzky. He's alone right now. Picks up wingers and shovels it off. A shot by Ruotsalainen is tipped high into the air. Still the Oilers control. Nice poke check. Handled across the way by Dave Poulin. Gets it back again and nudges it ahead to Craven. Craven 1-on-3, picks up wingers, drops it off to Brian Propp. Propp backhander, and that trickled wide. Flung right back along by the Oilers as far as neutral ice and even into the Flyers' end with 3.5 to go in the first. Last 2 shots have been Edmonton's. It's 8-6 Philadelphia in the shots in this period. 1-0 in goal. McSorley dropped in. Brad Marsh hammered back out. And it is Fuhr planing his stick to the ice to set it up for Coffey as the Flyers have changed with the Derek Smith pocket combination and Zezrel. On with it now is Pozar for a shot that is turned away by Hextall, and then Pozar hammered to the boards by Shel Samuelson. Pocket trying to get away, has his stick taken from him. Bear hugs Krushelnyski, and the Flyers can start back out with it. It's a 3-on-3. Zezrel has Howe with him, but the pass is off the mark. 2:50 left in the first. Oilers have to get rid of it quickly. Huddy is hit, but ahead now comes Paul Coffey. Dropped back in, and it's Hextall handling. The Messier unit is out now in full force as Nielsen and Anderson have both joined. Down goes Zezrel. Up comes the arm of Andy Van Hellemond. Power play, Philadelphia. The 6th penalty called in the period, and it's the 4th one on the Oilers. So Philadelphia will get its 3rd power play.
Mark Messier is the man. Prospect Peter Zezel from behind. Zezel has drawn that tough assignment.
Philadelphia comes out on the power play. They'll leave Zezel there. They'll have Tocchet to his right. There you saw the crunch by Kjell Samuelsson on Pozar. And the two European players wrestle each other around all that glove across the face.
Well, I asked Mike Keenan this morning if Samuelsson was strong. He said, you bet he's strong, and he's durable, too. Pozar is only about 5'10". Samuelsson 6'6" and weighs 225, but sometimes that doesn't tell at all. Samuelsson is strong. Keenan said he's also very durable and tough. His first week in town, once he was acquired by the Flyers from the Rangers, Mike Keenan walked in and his ankle was the size of a grapefruit. It was huge. And he said to Samuelsson, what happened? He said, nothing. Just put on his skates, went out and played, went out to practice.
A man of few words, but whose personality is really popular among his teammates. Lighthearted sort of guy. Is at the bench watching this power play develop now. Mark Howe racing in and Muni back. Tries to lift it along, and it went sailing out of play. And the whistle of Andy Van Hellemond stopped any altercation which might have developed. The halt play. Samuelsson's a carpenter back in Sweden. I wouldn't imagine he'd need a ladder too often, would he? 6'6", as you see Craig Muni.
And he keeps his skills honed on his sticks. I mentioned the other night about the traveling tools for getting your hockey sticks in shape, and there's a rasp and a hacksaw and a torch, usually a propane torch that players use to curve their sticks and change the curvature in the blade. They heat it up and put it under a door. Some teams have actually devised special metal apparatus type things on a workbench to curve your sticks, sandpaper, all that stuff.
Between the blade and the shaft. It's an area that has been dubbed the hosel, and you'll want to know that for future reference. It is a golf term that Bill brought about the other night, but I've never heard any description for the place where the stick joins, as here's one that's shunted away from Sutter and played by Brian Propp. Propp turning, pestered by McTavish. Along now to Howe. And that one tapped loose by Gretzky. Hooked down. Did not get the penalty he wanted. Ron Sutter pulls up in the final minute 45 of this period. We have a minute and 10 seconds to go on the power play. Crossman to Poulin. Across to Sutter. Feeds it up ahead to Propp. Cross ice off the boards for Poulin. Centers one, but that went off of Lowe. And it's along for Brian Propp. Guides to Poulin. Oh, and Tocchet was trying for Poulin in front. Gretzky across for Kevin Lowe, and Lowe starts it back out. Little tap to Gretzky. Has Lowe breaking as a screen, and now he's alone. He scores! Kevin Lowe. And it is 2-0 Edmonton on a shorthanded goal.
They didn't even give me a chance to point out that the Flyers have to do something with their power plays. The Flyers have yet to get a quality shot on goal. Not only that, here's the worst of it. Gretzky to Kevin Lowe, who beats Ron Hextall to the far side. Two guys on Gretzky. You could see Brian Propp go at him, Doug Crossman go at him. How many times have we talked about Gretzky mesmerizing the defenders and how the key is taking the players away from the puck? Here's a cross. Propp and Crossman both go for him, and that leaves Kevin Lowe wide open in front. And the Flyers in 3 power plays, they're on their 3rd one this game, don't even have a quality shot on goal. They've only had 2 shots from the points on Grand Fjord. Now to make matters worse, Kevin Lowe makes it 2-0 on a shorthanded goal.
And if you recall at the top of the show, Bill Clement said, if Gretzky gets a couple, he's got a couple assists. On now is Zezel. Feeds to Howe to Tocchet. Can't get it across to Zezel. And the Oilers slip it back down. It is Hextall out of his net to sweep it along now to Doug Crossman. Crossman's pass sailed through Craven. Played by Huddy. Then back to Coffey. 40 seconds to play in the period. Tipped back along and Sutter kept it moving. But then it jumped back by Huddy and then he sent Tocchet flying. Edmonton must be very satisfied with this first period. At one point, we had the statistics showing that they were out hitting the Flyers. It seems to have continued that way. They have a 2-0 lead, including a shorthanded goal and a goal late in the period as Messier comes on wanting 3. That one off Sutter, played by Brad Marsh in the final dozen seconds of the period. Marsh on for a drive that went into Curry, and then the play winds up being offside.
Here's another look from our overhead at the goal. Watch the crisscross. Gretzky and Lowe. You'll see two men converge on Wayne Gretzky. And in Crossman's defense, he is a defenseman. Prop isn't. But still, when Prop comes across that way to take Gretzky, he's got to follow Gretzky. And I really believe that Doug Crossman's got to go with the cross because Prop wasn't backing up in the defenseman's position. He's coming across to take Gretzky. You have to do a switch with them. When the forwards do a switch, you got two ways to go. You can stay where you are and hope they run into you, or do the switch and follow them. And that time, Prop came over following Gretzky. Crossman didn't go the other way. Saw what happened.
Well, this will likely be a meaningful silence that you'll hear as the buzzer sounds. And that takes care of the first period. With the score, the Oilers 2, the Philadelphia Flyers nothing.
Does that sound familiar? Deja vu. Friday night, 2-0 after the first period. But I'll tell you, that's doing it the hard way. Before the game, we knew the Flyers didn't want to do it again. The defenseman battle.
It has been surly. The shots on goal in this period are even at 8. But you see that board isn't even. Curry his 13th, and Kevin Lowe shorthanded his first. At the end of 20 seconds, at the end of the first 20 minutes, pardon me, as Lowe celebrates his goal, it's 2-0 Edmonton.
Scoreboard reads the same.